Hello, I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Sam.
And this is Progression in Progress. All right, Sam, how you doing? What's going down?
Good. How about
Good?
you? Not too much.
Good. Okay. So hopefully we'll have a few new listeners this episode. So we should just maybe do a very tiny, quick introduction for those who are new here. So do you want to just introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, so I'm Sam. I am, how old am I now? Almost 23. And I make a podcast with Jonathan.
Yes, sir. Okay. So yeah, my name is Jonathan Phelps. I'm from Orange County, California, and this is Progression in Progress. Here on this podcast, we kind of talk about, the names kind of makes it a little bit obvious, but we talk about progression, improving yourself, talking to other people about how they implement, ideas, how they try to improve themselves in their own lives. And that's kind of what we do here. So hopefully you guys enjoy this podcast and the following interview, and hopefully stick around. Okay, so today our guest is my good friend, Kelly Pozil. Me and Kelly live on the same street, and we've been neighbors for a while now. And just recently, I've kind of gotten to know her a little better. And as I've gotten to know her a little better, I have discovered that she's actually an incredibly talented artist. She runs an amazing Instagram page that will be linked in the show notes. I was kind of blown away when I saw it. I had no idea that she was this talented. And as soon as I saw her stuff, I knew that we had to interview her and kind of get her perspective on things and see what she has to say, because the art is really, really impressive. Without further ado, we can, I guess, just go hop into that interview with my good friend, Kelly Pozil. Okay, we're here with Kelly Pozil, great friend, great neighbor, great artist. How you doing, Kelly?
I'm good. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today. I guess we just wanted to start off by kind of having you tell us your version of your story, I guess, how you got started with art, how you started this amazing Instagram. And you got to tell us what the at is, because I'm forgetting exactly what it is right now. So you might as well tell us right at the beginning.
All right. Totally. So, sorry. So I started a Instagram account with my art at Kelly Pozil Designs. So that's Kelly Pozil Designs. And so I guess how I started, I've always really just been a creative. I've always loved drawing and art. And so once I kind of found that the iPad and the Apple Pencil kind of was for creatives and you can just make artwork on it. I jumped right on board and wanted to get it. And so I first just kind of looked at YouTube videos, just making sure that this was something that I'd want to do. And I just fell in love with all the YouTube tutorials that I saw of people just creating art, logos, all that stuff that you can do with an Apple Pencil and iPad. And so then I just kind of quickly just kind of created my own stuff, made my own style, and kind of figured out what worked for me. And I soon kind of just started making like minimalistic style illustrations of portraits for people. And so I started out with just making, I lived in a quad with 9 people. And so I just made one for each of my friends that lived in my quad at school. And so by making that for them and then posting it on their Instagram account and tagging me, I began to be opened up to so many new people that wanted requests and made requests for me to make different illustrations for them. And so through that, it just kind of had a ripple effect with mutual friends and kind of getting out in the market and seeing all the different types of clients that I could work for.
Dude, okay, that's actually pretty sweet. So
Thank you.
Right off the bat, I noticed that you said, so you kind of took things digital and then public with the Apple Pencil. And, when you saw that the Apple Pencil was actually pretty sweet, I've heard a lot of great things about it. But I guess a question I have for you is, how long were you drawing before that? How long had you been, involved in art before you got an iPad and an Apple Pencil and then started making your work public?
Before all of that, pretty much almost my whole life, I always remember loving art. I used to draw cartoons when I was little and make little stories with them. I was always drawing people, and I loved just the kind of creating something out of nothing and just making up stories with different characters that I would draw or images, really anything. If I could see it and I like saw it on a screen or on anything, I just loved copying just art like that. So yeah.
Like just kind of a technical side that I kind of have. I always like knowing how people kind of make the things that they do. So what kind of programs do you use, and how is that, and how is going from, kind of like going from a traditional, maybe just like, pencil and paper, and then now using like an iPad and an Apple Pencil, how has that kind of changed how you make art?
Oh, totally. So it changed so much. But so I use the app called Procreate, and so that app has basically any kind of tool and brush to use that you can have your Apple Pencil kind of create. And so the transition from creating on paper and pencil to iPad is like dramatically different. It's almost like you have to learn how to draw all over again. Like the first couple times that I drew on my iPad, it looked like it was like a kindergartner drawing, because you have to get used to the screen and like it's a different kind of grip, because on a pencil and paper you can like feel the grip and kind of like have that.
You get a little bit of feedback, right?
Yes, totally. And so with the pencil, you have like a screen and you're just kind of like wobbling. And so for me, I researched different screen protectors, and I got a screen protector that is paper-like, and it's kind of like a matte sandpaper-ishy feel. And so you almost feel like you're drawing on paper, which is like such a huge difference with even just from the screen to the screen protector. And so that was a huge difference. I love that. And yeah.
That's pretty sweet. That's actually a sandpaper type feeling phone protect or screen protector. That actually sounds pretty cool. Yeah. One thing that I thought was interesting was that, so I kind of, when I was looking through your Instagram page and talking to you before this, and now even talking to you right now, one thing that I feel like I saw or am hearing is that there's kind of been different phases to your artwork. Mm-hmm. And let me maybe explain myself a little more, and it might make a little more sense. But you kind of had, I don't know, I wrote like in my notes or whatever when I was trying to prepare for this, like phase 0, and I called it like the unseen work. And you just told us that you'd been drawing since you were a little kid. And that's pretty sweet. But then even once you started on Instagram, I looked at your very first photos, and then I looked at your photos right now. And I feel like even though the photos that you did right at the beginning were actually, I was super impressed with them. I feel like the quality has improved so much in just the last year.
Oh, thank you.
They were amazing to begin with. And now I'm even more impressed. Like I've seen people try to do stuff like this before, and yours is definitely the best that I've seen.
Gosh,
and I thought,
it's so nice.
No, for real though. I was super, super impressed. So I guess my question would be, how did you get over, because I feel like there's these different phases. How did you like get over the humps of each phase? How'd you go from,
totally.
How'd you, like you were just talking about having that transition period where you were working on pencil and paper, and then it was really tough for you to go to digital. And then I'm sure there might've been some other humps or some other, kind of breakthrough moments when you were learning how to do all of this.
Oh, definitely. It's crazy because when I first started it, I had all these like envisions in my head about like how great I was going to be. And I was like making stuff that were just like not good. And it was kind of discouraging, like seeing all the YouTube tutorials of the people that have been doing it for so many years and seeing how good they are. And then seeing me, how I just was starting out, and seeing like how I just was not doing well. And even with like the different Instagram accounts, there's such a big art community, which I am like so grateful for. And I'm really good friends with a bunch of the art accounts now, but starting out and seeing all these accounts and seeing how good they were, even though they were doing this for like 3 times as longer as I have been, I was just like, oh my goodness, like, are you kidding me? But I think for me, one of the big things that helped me kind of get over like my beginning stage and kind of learning was just making things regardless of if it's good or not. I just kept on making and making and just kind of, I don't know it's like I would just create stuff every single day, regardless of if it was good or not, even though I didn't like post it and stuff, but I kept on just learning and looking at YouTube tutorials and figuring out, okay, so like this, I want to do this and this is how they're doing it. So then I kind of just took it upon myself just to kind of then try to do it in my own way, I guess. And I think through just making it almost every single day, I kind of would improve with each piece that I made. And yeah, so that's, I think that happened.
That's pretty sweet.
So kind of a question that I hear, or just something for a lot of artists I hear in, I kind of all fields of work, music or art or anything like that. Like how do you kind of go from like starting a piece, and I know you're saying you're just kind of starting off and maybe things weren't too good, but you keep making things. How do you kind of go about like starting something, and then like I feel like for a lot of us, or at least for me, that sometimes I'll go into something and I'll just kind of want to keep working at it until it's like perfect or gets to some standard or level that I'd want it to be at. How do you kind of go into projects or just even list little sketches or anything? And like, how do you start working on them? And then when do you decide that, okay, I'm done working on this and move on from that, and then kind of move on to something else you can keep growing and learning?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think for me, when I kind of like, if I'm at the end of an illustration and I get that like, ooh, feeling like, ooh, I'm happy with this and I like how this turned out, then that's like when I can just be like, okay, I'm done with this. I've done, like if I like visually just see everything on it and I'm like happy with how everything looks visually, then I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. This is good. And then I move on to the next one. And I think before I go into it, I kind of first like envision it, making sure that like I'm gonna, like this is something that am happy with like my name on it, that I would want to put out for people to see. And so I think just knowing my own style and knowing my own inspirations and stuff, having that in mind as I make it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I guess as a follow-up question to that, would be, so, you're saying you want to have pride in what you make. And I think that's a really good thing, or that's a really important thing. You want to be okay with putting your name on this. So do you ever feel like, because as I was talking about earlier, even though your stuff was good to begin with, you've gotten a lot better over time. Do you ever wish that you waited to post your drawings, or did posting your drawings kind of help motivate you, or, make you want to put more effort into it? Or do you feel like it had maybe the opposite effect?
No, I think totally. Like I even just seeing the improvement every single time I make something, it could be from yesterday or like a week ago. I think every single piece that I make has its improvements. So by creating what I created in June when I first started, like that's all I knew for my talent. Like that's all I knew that I could create. And so to me, I was like, okay, this is like this, I'm putting this out here, like this is my best work. And then not realizing that I could get better and better, and each piece that I made just improved and improved. And so I think it's almost like a surprise to me. Like when I first started, I thought this was like the extent of how I'm going to make these portraits and stuff. And then like, it was almost to my surprise about each new post and new illustration that I make, that I saw just the improvement. That's
pretty fuego. That's you advanced your own, you kind of progressed as you went along, right, and kind of raised the bar each and every time you did it. So I guess, I guess just kind of inferring from what you said, that posting your drawings and then being forced to do it more might have helped, helped you kind of make, advance and make progression.
Oh, totally. And then even a couple months after I started these illustrations, I wasn't even really that much aware of the other accounts that were on Instagram doing exactly what I was doing. And so I would just start following one account, two accounts, three, like it just led up into now I'm following almost like 900 art accounts. And there's a bunch of group chats too that I'm a part of, and we kind of all just motivate each other. And it's been a big inspiration for me, and seeing how good they are and kind of like aspiring to be at the same level as some of these accounts that have like 19,000 followers, like 30,000 followers. Like there's some accounts that are just like making it big time right now. And so it's inspiring to me to be a part of a group with such talent, and seeing and even just getting little inspirations from them and seeing like, okay, this is how they do the shadows. This is how they do the highlights. These are like the color palettes that work for them. Like, so stuff like that has been really cool for me too.
Do you ever feel like you're competing with those people, or do you feel like their presence or their advice or their, just being in contact with them, like, do you feel like helps make you better, or do you sometimes feel like it's like a zero-sum game and that you have to compete with them, or is it the opposite of that?
No, I think it makes me better. I am so appreciative of them. I think even it's kind of cool to see, because just how I'm improving, and then seeing the new accounts that are coming right now. And I remember how I was when I was at like the beginner stage of this, and it's cool that I can now be a source for the younger accounts and for them to ask me questions and to get advice from. And so it's been really cool. The art community is like super encouraging, and I don't think any of us really are competitive with each other. And I think we all just like to like boost each other up and make sure that like we're all like in this together and we're supporting each other. So I think, yeah,
that's a good answer. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And so you kind of just recently saw, or you had posted on your page as well, that you recently were able to get some of your artwork featured on Some Good News. And I saw some of that merch and it looked really, really nice. So how did that kind of come about? Just posting things onto your Instagram page to now kind of working with another company like that and getting your artwork kind of out there?
So once my clients for my illustrations were kind of dying down, I kind of decided to just start creating content for different trends in the world, different celebrities, different influencers, and just kind of putting it out there and tagging them and seeing what would happen. And so one of the posts that I did was of John Krasinski for Some Good News, and I made it kind of like the impression like no one's gonna see this. Like this was when my account wasn't that big, and I was like, okay, no one's gonna see it, but like I did a logo of the original John Krasinski Some Good News logo, and then I did like a recreation of my own kind of take on it, and then I posted it, and so in the art community, a lot of my like fellow art accounts were tagging Some Good News, and we all kind of just do that for each other, kind of like tag the people that they make, just so that we could see
help each other out. Yeah,
help each other out. And so Some Good News saw it and they liked it, and I was like freaking out over the like they just liked it, and I was like over the moon. Like I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. Nothing really happened of it, and I kind of forgot about it. And then a couple weeks later, John Krasinski's social media assistant emailed me and was like, hey, we would love to use your artwork for the Some Good News merchandise that we have. And I was like, oh my goodness, like totally, this is so cool. And so 100% of the proceeds go to charity. And so they said, what we can do for you is have a landing page on our website of your Instagram account, a little bio, and like just kind of direct people towards your Instagram. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is like totally like, let's do this. And so within that day, I gained of them putting the merchandise on the site. I kind of like blew up for like a hot minute. And it was like super cool to see people that were seeing my artwork that would have never had a chance to see what I can do, and requesting illustrations from me, telling me that they're buying the merchandise and think it's like great. Just people kind of encouraging me and telling me like how cool it is that they see this on the website and stuff. And so I had a lot of great feedback from random people and from friends and family. And so it was super cool just to get that experience and that chance. So yeah.
That's
so
actually,
cool.
That's super sick. And one thing that I've seen is you've done a lot of celebrity, pictures for celebrities and influencers like you were talking about. And I'm guessing this wasn't the first one that you did, nor was it the last one. But one thing that I was just kind of thinking of is that you kind of got to throw out all those things. You got to throw out all your lines, and then eventually one of them, you catch something. And then with this, some good news situation, it seems like you really scored, and I think it's super cool. Well, I think one idea that I was having, you were on the grind beforehand. You were definitely on the grind before you were able to kind of get this little boost or this little deserved recognition.
Yeah, totally. I've been doing a couple of celebrities on my Instagram just for fun. It's been really cool to see the response that I'm getting from these big celebrities that I'm thinking, okay, they'll never see it. And then they'll be posting on their Instagram stories. And then from their Instagram followers, people will see it and then contact me. And so it's been such a cool just ripple effect that I've been seeing on social media, especially of the kind of contacts and the clients that I've been receiving just by making free content for celebrities, influencers, and people like that.
Kind of to put a capstone on this, to kind of wrap things up, I love how it started out with, you doing art as a kid and then making this transition from just kind of doing things for yourself and doing things on pencil and paper to, then transitioning to iPad and Apple Pencil, and then starting your Instagram account. And now you've ended up here having some merch with some good news, and then also landing yourself a digital marketing job.
Yeah.
And I think it's just so cool that you've taken something, a hobby, and turned it into the start of a career. So that's pretty fuego.
Thank you so much. I mean, I never expected any of this really to happen. And I was really just doing this for my own enjoyment. And I love that I see now that other people are enjoying it, and it brings me like joy just seeing how other people are reacting to the content that I put out.
That's awesome.
I guess I'll throw in one more little final thing. So for anyone else that's kind of, that has some hobbies that they're doing or some kind of, passion that they have, what kind of advice would you give to them for kind of starting off of trying to do that and maybe kind of make that into kind of a career?
Yeah, I think for me, I would say practice every day, no matter what skill you're at. And even even if you have one thing that you draw every single day, like almost just kind of make it different every day, or just by creating stuff every single day, you'll eventually get your style and get what you're, I guess, like proud about to create. And so I think anytime anyone's thinking of wanting to draw or start creating something, say go for it. There's literally no harm in starting something, being new at anything. I think it's like a beautiful thing to know that you're trying and you're wanting to do something that makes you happy. And I think if it makes you happy, then that's all that matters.
Okay, that's some solid advice. To wrap things up, is there anything? So you maybe you want to shout out your Instagram account one more time, and if there's anything else you want to plug or any final things that you want to say, now's the time to do it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me on this podcast. And my Instagram is at Kelly Pozil Designs, and feel free to shoot me a DM. I'd be happy to make any kind of illustration for you. I'd be happy to make anything. So thank you.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Kelly.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Sam, that was a pretty fuego interview. I've said that 3 times. I'm such an idiot. I'm like a 80-year-old man trying to be cool. That was a really good interview. I was super happy with that.
No, yeah, I was super impressed with everything that she had to say. And yeah, just the evolution of everything.
So there's a few things that I noticed that she talked about during her interview, that Kelly talked about during her interview. And there's a few things that I kind of wanted to discuss with you and then try to highlight some progression in progress principles. The first of those being is that she did things for free. And because she did things for free, she was able to get more opportunities.
Yeah. I do often hear, never work for free, or, things kind of like that. And I think there is something to be said of, just putting your stuff out there, just, getting a portfolio, or just proving that, I don't know what I'm saying, actually. Like, yeah, just you have to have some kind of base to kind of show what you can do before people see the value in maybe paying for your work. I don't know.
100%.
I don't know if that's the right way to put it, because I don't want to also be like, oh, well, you should just always work for free until someone sees value in you. Because I think all work has some kind of value, but
it's true. Especially the nature of this field is that it's a skilled job. It's what she's doing is skilled. And by showing people that she can actually do it, it kind of leads to opportunities. It's almost like our last interview with my grandpa, and at the very end, he gave the advice. At the very, very end, he gave the advice that he says, be kind to other people, help other people, be the go-to person for other people. And I feel like that's almost what she did here, is that she was willing to do some things for free so she could get paid to do other things. It's almost becoming more and more the business model of companies today, almost. Yeah. So I think it works really well. A lot of tech companies will, to start off, they are willing to give their service away for free, but, and then later they monetize, I feel like that's a common principle. And that's kind of almost what Kelly's doing here, is that she was willing to draw pictures of her friends for free. And then after that, people are like, oh shoot, I'll pay you to do this. And she got paid to draw some things for some other friends or some acquaintances or whatever. And then she was willing to draw free pictures of celebrities. And then that's how she was able to land her merch in the shop for Some Good News. It's, you have to, it's like you almost have to sacrifice a little and do things for free to be able to monetize or to grow or to do whatever you're wanting to do on a greater level.
And I also think that, at least the kind of vibe that or what I kind of heard was, I don't even think maybe at the beginning she went into any of this thinking, oh, I'm going to make a career out of this, or I'm even working technically. Like, I don't think she kind of went into everything thinking, oh, I'm working for free and I'm just making this artwork with even that goal maybe in the beginning. It kind of sounded like to me that, she was just doing something she was really passionate about, and then she just liked doing in kind of her free time. And once she did start getting that exposure and people were really valuing what she's done, that kind of ballooned into what is now. So I don't even think that I do think if you do go into something with that kind of mindset in the beginning, that I'm going to be working for free to get to some level, that's especially for creative fields, that's definitely how it usually works out. But I think even just doing something for fun and just putting it out there, you never know what kind of opportunities will come around and how that can change your life.
100%. I mean, she didn't, when she was probably, I don't know however old she was when she was starting. And then even in college, and maybe even when she started this Instagram page, I don't think she was thinking about starting a potential career with digital marketing, and being able to use her art skills in that. But, one thing leads to another. And when you're willing to put in some work, most of the time, it might not be instantaneously, but most of the time, you reap the rewards later. You reap what you sow. And I think that's a really important concept. And we've been talking to an artist, so we've been talking about art the whole time, but I feel like that applies to everything in life.
Definitely.
I was talking a little bit earlier about tech companies just a few seconds ago about how, they're willing to delay profits or willing to give away their service for free and then hopefully be able to monetize for a larger audience at a future date. That's honestly what I feel like a large part of what people do in real life. I'm willing to give up the first 20, 23 years of my life to go to school. And then not get paid while I'm going to school. So I can hopefully do something later and actually get paid for it. It's why I guess it makes sense. It's kind of a principle ingrained into our society. That's why people with college degrees make more money than people who don't go to college, even though those people who don't go to college start working earlier. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, of course, there are always exceptions to that, but
yeah, of course.
I think it more comes down to if you work hard at something and you learn, whatever skills you need to do and however you go about doing it, that by the end of it, by, potentially, not making anything or not really, you're not getting paid for it, or you're just sacrificing first. I think it's a good way to say it. You put in the sacrifice in the work in the beginning to improve yourself and learn the skills that you need to then eventually get the payoff at the end of having those skill sets and then having people pay you for that work. I think that's really the kind of progression and progress thing that I kind of see out of that, by improving yourself and then reaping the rewards at a later date, because you won't always get everything right away. Delayed gratification.
Yeah, and it's almost like an exponential thing. You slowly start you start with nothing, and then you slowly start reaping the rewards of all the labor, all the all the fruit that you've planted. It's got to grow into a tree. A tree doesn't start producing fruit overnight. And anything worth doing in this life, I feel like I've heard this a lot. Anything worth doing in this life is hard, and it's going to take some time, and it's probably going to be like this whole situation that we've been talking about, that it's not instantaneously. It's going to take some time, and you're going to have to sacrifice a little bit to get there.
Yeah,
and it's almost
grow it, nurture
it. It's almost like getting over those little humps too. You're kind of like, oh, what's going on here? I'm not seeing the results of my effort, but a lot of times it's just right around the corner. It could be, in Kelly's case, it could just be one Instagram post away, and I think that's a really cool concept that definitely is inspiring me. And I guess just kind of shifting, one thing that's super key, shifting topics here, one thing that's super key is that one of my favorite things that she said is that she did it for her own enjoyment. Mm-hmm. She didn't start drawing when she was a kid because she knew she was going to, land a job out of college with her ability to produce art, but rather she did it because she liked it. She started drawing on her iPad, not because she was going to have a successful Instagram account, but because she enjoyed it. And I feel like that's one of the most important things, is you have to enjoy what you're doing, because one, I feel like an easier path to happiness is actually enjoying what you're doing. And two, I feel like I've heard this a lot, and it makes sense, especially with the next point that I'm going to bring up, is that you have to enjoy what you're going to do, because you need to be good at something. You have to put a lot of time into it. And it's very hard to put genuine effort into something you don't enjoy very much. It's not impossible. There's definitely people that do it. But I think if we're going for, if you lay it out, good, better, best, the best would be, good would just be putting effort into something. And then I guess what best would be doing something you enjoy. And then better would be putting effort into something you enjoy, or something like that. And that's when you find the greatest opportunity for success, is when you make this. I feel like maybe this doesn't apply to every single situation, because I'm sure there's definitely plenty of people who are successful and hate what they do. Yeah. But I guess this is going back to like what I just said, good, better, best. I am hoping for the best, that I enjoy what I do and can be successful in what I enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the goal for pretty much everyone, is to, do something they love, and to the point where it doesn't even feel like work anymore. And, being able to make a living off of that, or, even a side hustle or whatever it is. We only have a limited time on this planet, and using that time just doing something you hate, I don't know. I don't feel like that's probably the best way to go about things. But yeah.
Well, another thing too is that I feel like in this day and age, when it's the barrier to entry for many interesting fields, not all fields, but many fields, the barrier to entry because of technology has lowered. Before, if you wanted to make videos, you had to spend a lot of money to get a computer, a lot of money to for editing software, a lot of money for to operate a camera, and it was harder to do all of those things. It was less intuitive. But now the barrier to entry is, if you have an iPhone, you can be a filmmaker, or if you have a computer, you can make videos, and the barrier to entry is lower. So therefore, my point with this is that people see these lucrative fields, like, oh, I could make YouTube videos, or, oh, I could, if we're talking about Kelly, this isn't what she did, but I'm sure there's people who have done this before where she's like, or where people are like, oh, shoot, there's an opportunity to make money here because I can try to draw something. And then they go into it with that mindset, and then it doesn't work out. I mean, I've done that as a kid. I've done that when I was younger. The barrier to entry was low enough that I was able to just hop right in with minimal amount of money. And I was hoping to make money out of it, but I didn't make a single freaking cent because it wasn't my passion, nor did I put in enough time to make money, nor was it, I don't know. It's just, you have to go, just going full circle, I guess, to what she said, you have to do things for your own enjoyment to really, at first, especially when it comes to this type of field. Like, if you're working at 7-Eleven, you're not going to have to enjoy yourself to make any money. But in this type of field, in this type of area, and for your own personal progression, the easiest path, the best path is to do it for your own enjoyment, and then let the other things later come, is my personal opinion.
Yeah. I think that's definitely the best way to kind of learn most things in general. Like, I think the best way to get better at something is to enjoy doing it so much that, kind of like even Kelly was saying, that you just keep wanting to practice it, keep practicing, keep making things, and keep improving yourself at these things, or just increasing your knowledge at it. And then eventually you'll look back a couple months or years, however long it takes later, and you can see that progression, and then you're finally at a place where you have those skills, and have that value to people that lead to opportunities.
Well, yeah, she said you got to practice every single day, and it's going to be so hard to practice every single day if you don't enjoy it. I mean, it's not impossible, and there's people who do it, but I think if you're trying to match happiness with success, you're going to have to practice every single, you're going to have to practice quite frequently to be successful. So you might as well be happy doing it. It made me think of when you were talking, that stupid video that I sent you the other day that one of my friends shared with me, that Jake Paul video, the Jake Paul Biz video. Apparently my friend just showed me this video, and Jake Paul has this random business channel, and one of those videos, they're kind of funny. I think they're supposed to be meant to be motivational, and I'm sure some people do find them motivational, but the one that I saw was kind of funny, and he was talking about just kind of like working hard and grinding every day. And do you remember this video that I sent you, Sam?
Vaguely, yeah.
So in the video, he's just talking, and then he says this really funny line that actually makes a lot of sense. Hindsight 2020. He's like, you got to be working so hard every day. You got to be on the grind every day, and you got to know, or you got to think about. Maybe I'll just insert the clip because it'll make more sense. But he's like, you got to work hard every day because there's a kid around the corner, a kid around the street who's working harder than you, and then he says some funny thing about, sabotaging the kid or whatever, or something like that. And that's not what we're advocating for. But I think what he's saying is, there is a kid around the block probably who's willing to work harder than you. So, and if you don't enjoy it, there's no way you're going to beat that kid who's on the grind, who does enjoy it. There's no way you're going to be able to put in more time and be better at someone who has a genuine enjoyment for what they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the having enjoyment and not having enjoyment can really make the difference of, whether you want to keep working on it and whether you will make it or not. So, especially in these especially in any kind of creative field, I feel like that's especially true. But I mean, I'm sure even for, doctors or anyone, like, I'm sure the ones, I know there are plenty of people in other fields that don't necessarily like their field, but I think the people that do probably end up doing better in their field.
Yeah, 100%. So I guess those are just a few things we pulled from that interview, some progression and progress-esque ideas, and hopefully that can just add a little bit. This extra commentary can help add a little bit of value to that interview. I guess just to wrap things up, we once again want to thank Kelly Pozil for being on our show and for doing this interview with us. She gave a really great interview, and you definitely need to check out her Instagram page. And if you like what she does, consider supporting her. And I'm sure you guys will be super, super happy with the result. She's really on that grind. She's a great neighbor, a great friend. So go check out her work. That'd mean a lot to us.
Yeah. And then also don't forget to check us out as well.
That'd be nice. We'd appreciate that.
Yeah. So you can find us on most social medias. So I think most Instagram, Twitter, at Talk Progression. Be sure to follow us there for any updates for our podcast. And also be sure to follow or subscribe to our podcast on whatever platform you listen on.
Yep, it's available on all platforms. And if you're using Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review. That means a lot to us, and that helps us out a ton.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Sam. Once again, thank you, Kelly. And we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks so much for listening. Bye.
Bye.